Ni wiki moja. Mkiniangalia tu vile niko.
I honestly think she's going mad.
Just stop calling.
Give me your phone.
Hapana.
The shame and guilt will not allow him to listen to you.
I'm just tired.
Differently.
When I was pulling my left leg, then the right leg, from there I cannot tell you what happened.
I used to go to a hearing school. I could see children talking, but I couldn't even understand anything.
I was challenged due to cooperation with people. In 1994, there was no interpreters. We had to go and use handwriting, paper and a Bible to write, to communicate.
Differently abled, differently.
A very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us on Lunchtime News. We have a comprehensive bulletin lined up ahead. My name is Wambiru. Our sign language interpreter is Lucy Maura. And now, to kick us off, we shall be crossing over to Kiambu County. And prior to that, remember you can interact with us on our social media handles at KBC Channel 1. Now, to kick us off, police in Githunguri, Kiambu County have launched a manhunt for a long-distance truck driver suspected to have sold lethal liquor that led to the death of 2 people, while several others have reportedly lost their eyesight. The 2 died at Kiambu Level 5 Hospital, where they had been rushed after complaining of severe headache and vomiting. Residents have decried the slow pace of authorities in fighting illicit brew consumption and drug and substance abuse, which is at an alarming level in the Mount Kenya region.
Kwa barabara na kwenye chondo. Kuambia mtu wa serikali hawezi kutabiria hiyo nini. Tabiria huyo simu. Nataka sheria isichukue.
Mmoja ndio wako hali mahututi, lakini wengine wa 6 bado wameelekezwa katika hospitalini. Na bado tunaendelea kusaka wale wengine wako kwa hii mtaa, tukisaidiana na wamama. Saidi wamama wako na uchungu wa watoto.
Still on the same, 12 sacks of bang have been netted in a residential house in Kamulu area, Nairobi County. This follows a sting operation by officers from Rai Police Station after a tip-off from residents. The landlord was arrested while one suspect is at large. According to Rai OCPD Patricia Yegon, the residents raised an alarm after noticing some fishy dealings in a maize plantation in Kamulu, Makadara area.
By members of public that there was some luggage that had been placed in a maize plantation, and they were suspecting it to be bang, and our officers responded, and upon searching the bags, they actually identified to be bang, and they further conducted search. And they managed to gain entry into one of the houses where several other bags were retrieved. And to specifically appreciate the members of Mundu for giving the police information and for assisting the police in fighting this crime.
Tungeomba ofisa wetu waweze kusikizana na wananchi na viongozi pamoja, kwa sababu hii kazi kweli haiwezi yeye peke yake. Lazima tushikane pamoja, kama vile mwananchi ameona jambo na akasema, nao pia akiambiwa vile ameweza kurespond leo, au analespond hivyo hivyo.
Hii ni biashara ambayo inaharibu watoto wetu hapa hivi bila sisi kujua. Kwa tunaomba serikali ifuatilie zaidi, ijue mwanzo wake na mahali inaelekea.
In other news, political leaders and residents of Garissa County areas now want the national government to increase the allocation of resources for marginalized areas. The leaders and residents submitted their memorandum to the National Assembly Budget and Appropriations Committee demanding more development projects in the 2023-2024 financial year.
The National Assembly Budget Committee engaged residents of Garissa County in the ongoing budget-making process for the 2023-2024 financial year. The residents, while agreeing to continue paying taxes, also demanded an increased share of resources allocated to develop marginalized areas.
People must be taxed. Hakuna nchi ambaye ina survive without tax. Kwa hivyo sisi naunga President mkono kwa hii budget.
We want the national government to supplement the county government so that at least all departments that are required in the hospitals are brought to these hospitals.
Garissa Township Member of Parliament Mohamed Deko calling on Parliament to consider land size as a key factor in sharing resources.
Garissa Township, where we are hosting you today, has only one police station. And you know communities cannot coexist without law and order. So we need resources allocated towards that sector.
Among key development projects that Garissa residents are demanding include improved roads and functional water distribution projects that will quench the arid area.
We have the river here just running across, but delivering that water to the last mile is a very big challenge here. And it is because of the resources that are allocated to us.
We also need a mega dam, because you remember we have a quite good number of land that's not near to the river, 200 kilometers stretch from the river.
The National Assembly Budget and Appropriations Committee is in 16 counties collecting views of Kenyans as per constitutional requirements in the budget-making process.
We have collected the views of Garissa County. We had representatives from all the 6 constituencies, and they have raised the issues we have captured.
Yishuki Washira, Lunchtime News.
And now on to the corridors of justice, where the Director of Public Prosecution suffered a setback Friday after a Milimani Court dismissed a preliminary objection opposing an application filed by Pastor Ezekiel Odero's legal team seeking to vary the orders that froze his bank accounts. In his ruling, trial magistrate Benmark Ekobe said the objection raised by the prosecution was outside the law and authorities cited by the defense team. The magistrate further stated the order to freeze the accounts or investigate must be a maximum of 14 days or not 30 days as indicated by the DPP. Ekobe will give further directions on Monday. And now our reporter Ruth Wamboy will file a comprehensive report in our subsequent bulletins. Now in other news, residents of Thika, Kiambu County have been warned to be extra cautious when buying milk and liquor from unauthorized persons. Thika Low Court Senior Resident Magistrate Frederick Koome warned the business community against engaging in illegal dealings which could land them in the corridors of justice. Koome was speaking while supervising the destruction of toxic milk and illicit brews in Witethia and Kisii estates in Thika. He said the suspects who have pleaded guilty to the crimes were fined between 60,000 to 100,000 shillings.
Business community that they are losing a lot once they are arrested, because the fines are quite high as set out by the law. And as you will note that there has been a crackdown on the illicit brews, and therefore if you are arrested today and you repeat the offense again the following week and arrested, you risk being fined quite heavily, and that will definitely affect someone's business. So I want to urge business community to at least caution their members against selling out liquor and other drinks that do not, they fall short of the regulatory requirements under the law. For the milk, we've actually destroyed about 60 liters, and for different alcoholic drinks which do not comply with the necessary regulatory requirements, we've poured in excess of 160 liters today. They came to court, pleaded guilty, and after the court meted out their sentences, it also ordered for the destruction of those exhibits that were produced. I would wish to urge the members of the public to be extremely cautious when buying milk. At least buy your milk from the licensed milk vendors. We know that there are people who are taking advantage of those that have been licensed.
Samburu County marked the National Road Safety Week with a series of activities, including the sensitization of boda operators at Kisima in Samburu Central Sub-County area. Assistant Commissioner Mirei Moze lauded the National Transport and Safety Authority and the Kenya Rural Roads Authority for organizing the sessions, which he said are crucial to the road safety campaign. Kisima Boda Chairman Kennedy Lekalesoi noted the training was empowered operators to appreciate the use of road signs and the importance of ferrying one passenger as part of road safety measures. A human rights organization based in the coastal region is concerned about the reemergence of land invasions in Kilifi County, which have scared away investors. Muslims for Human Rights Chair Khalif Khalifa believes the land invasions are politically motivated. Khalifa says the latest victim is a family in the Kanyagwai area of Malindi, Kilifi County, whose 35.5-acre land was invaded and their land subdivided to unsuspecting people. Well, on that note, we shall be taking a short break right here on Lunchtime News. Don't go too far, we still have more news coming up.
The Mozart Bet Cup enters the semi-finals this weekend as the remaining 4 teams battle for the ultimate prize of representing the country in CAF Confederations Cup. Tusker FC will lock horns with Ulinzi Stars from 12 p.m. while the much-awaited Ingo Derby pitting Kakamega Homeboys and AFC Leopards will kick off at 3 p.m. Catch all the action live on KBC Channel 1 from Nyayo National Stadium. KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Na ndio maana wale wengine wasiokuwa na imani na Mwenyezi Mungu huamini baadhi ya sehemu bara zingine, huamini kuwa sehemu kubwa ya Mungu mkubwa ni sehemu alikozalika kwa mama yake, kwa sababu akiwa na itikadi kuwa baada ya kuzalika akaweza kuishi katika dunia hii, hawezi kupita tena katika ile njia akaenda kuishi katika tumbo la mama yake.
Wakati mwanadamu anapoumbwa katika tumbo la mamake, basi malaika Jibril hutumwa na kuweza kumtajia jinsi maisha yake yatakavyokuwa, jinsi atapopata riski, na pia jinsi maisha yake yatakavyokuwa, iwapo atapata furaha na amani ama iwapo atakuwa na mitihani kadhaa katika maisha yake.
Unajua ile msemo inasemanga sipu is expensive. Sipu is expensive.
Sipu gani?
Maisha slippers is expensive.
Slippers.
Naribu. Hiyo sijui, sijai kutaka. Hiyo unaniekelea.
Hata mimi sijawahi kutaka. Yes. So tusitakane. Nini yako ilipiwa kwa hoteli?
Mimi hakuna kitu nimekuwa.
Kuna si ndio? Kielele ni nini unataka?
Bana kielele, ndio kulia maso ine.
Ni situ macho ine na hilo ndio kinyuka kuota. Ndio mtoto niite tu bila unataka. After all,
don't call my wife mtoto tena. Don't call my wife mtoto tena. Because
Muse.
ultimate is man. Yes.
Hata kama ni wewe uko na biashara yako, vitu zinaibiwa, hata iibiwe moja, utakuwa usikii uchungu, kwani uliokota?
Kwani mliungana na yeye ndio muingilie?
Wewe na wewe kaa kimya.
Ndani ya nyumba yako.
What is this?
Asaga bam.
Sink and broker.
It's called a plunger.
Yes, it's a plunger, but what type?
Kamene, how are you going to discern between a fake gold and a real gold?
Farah, be careful on your way up. Kwa sababu wakati utateremuka utanipata hapa chini.
By the way guys, this coming Saturday from 10 a.m. Me Kenyajwi Mutumiti, I will be having a mega crusade in the town.
Teacher's pet. Agi, what did you just say? Nothing. Keep provoking me, huh? Keep provoking me. You've been warned. Talang, talang, talalalang.
Welcome back. This is Lunchtime News. My name is Wambiru, and now to continue. A human rights organization based in the coastal region is concerned about the re-emergence of land invasions in Kilifi County, which have scared away investors. Muslims for Human Rights Chair Khalif Khalifa believes the land invasions are politically motivated. Khalifa says the latest victim is a family in the Kanyangwaya area of Malindi, Kilifi County, whose 35.5-acre land was invaded and their land subdivided to unsuspecting people.
Okay, this land does not belong to one tribe, it belongs to Kenyans. Okay, and these are the documents. Okay, sasa wao wana claim hii shamba ni yao. Shamba ni yao kwa sababu wanasema wakienda kufanya search yushafamu haipatikani kwa sababu wanasema hizi ni title deeds za zamani, some of them zinamumunyika. Sasa it needs to be constructed. We all govern under the law, na kila mmoja lazima aheshimu sheria. Mambo ya kutishana maisha na serikali ifanye kitu, ushafahamu, we are going to take legal action against them.
Walikata miti miembe minne na sisi tukachukua hatua kuenda polisi, tukaandika report na tukaleta ofisa wa agriculture, na ofisa wa agriculture pia naye akafanya report yake na tukapatiwa askari wa kuja kuwashika, lakini tukija wakatoroka na hatukuweza kuwapata.
Msahii nofia maisha yangu kwa kuwa aliyenitishia yopitapita kwa hii shamba, na yeye alisema mwezi ukiisha itakuwa kwa ufupi tayari ataniua mwezi. Polisi nilienda kuripoti, haini siko na mafanikio yoyote, kwa hivyo naomba serikali msaidie hili jambo.
Na ukipewa shamba lazima uwe na agreement ya shamba ya kuwa umepewa. Tulipoona ule uwiano hakuna tena, tukaamua tuchukue shamba yetu sababu sisi ndo wamiliki halali. Tumeishi miaka, babu yangu ameishi kabla uhuru haujapatikana. Mpaka amezaa watoto wake hapa. Amekufia juzi. Tunataka tubadilishe, angalau kila mmoja angalie na mazingira yake. Lakini ndugu zetu hawakukubali hayo. Tumeamua kuingia shamba. Manake tumezika wazazi wetu hapa.
In other news, a section of matatu operators in Narok County want the government to reduce the cost of fuel as it will force them to hike fares. Speaking to the media in Narok Town, they said they will be forced to charge more if the situation persists. In the meantime, the operators say they are considering a 50 shilling hike for every route.
Hivi sasa saa hii magari ambayo inatumia sasa yenye inaenda long distance ilikuwa inakunywa kuanzia 10,000, 11,000. Sasa saa hii kama jana ilikunywa 13,000, 13,500. Sasa tunauliza sasa tunaelekea wapi? Ile kitu tungeuliza rais wetu, mafuta ikiwa kuna njia nyingine itaweza tumika, mafuta atuangalie sipande tena, tungekubali na arudishe mafuta chini juu. Sasa mafuta ndio kila kitu.
Ile maneno ya mafuta inatunyanyasa, inatumaliza. Tulikuwa naomba bwana chairman tuongezee nauli pande moja, hata kama ni Narok, kama ni hapa Nairobi, hata kama ni 50-50.
And on environmental matters, the Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning has embarked on a tree planting exercise as part of the national government's efforts to greening the country. On Friday morning, Lands and Physical Planning Cabinet Secretary Zachary Njeru led top-ranking government officials and officers from the Kenya Forest Service in planting over 500 tree seedlings at Ngong Forest.
Whatever the past we did to the environment, today mambo si mzuri, and that's why kwa sababu ya kizazi cha kesho, this exercise of planting trees today itawasaidia, so that now we are paying what was done by those who are before us. Yes, they did a lot, but also I don't think they did enough.
In our performance contracting, Waziri, we were allocated as a State Department that we need to plant only 200 trees. So I think we will surpass the target that we had today by far. But also, I've been informed that we are also being allocated a different target by the Ministry of Environment as a State Department in the next financial to do 8,000 trees.
And across borders, the conflict in Ukraine has left the international community in dire straits. Japan, a non-voting member of the United Nations Security Council, has weighed in and is asking Russia's leader Vladimir Putin to end the aggression.
The Mozart Bet Cup enters the semi-finals this weekend as the remaining 4 teams battle for the ultimate prize of representing the country in CAF Confederations Cup. Tusker FC will lock horns with Ulinzi Stars from 12 p.m. while the much-awaited Ingo Derby pitting Kakamega Homeboys and AFC Leopards will kick off at 3 p.m. Catch all the action live on KBC Channel 1 from Nyayo National Stadium. KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Zote na sanamu zimfikie Hashimu.
Na ndio maana wale wengine wasiokuwa na imani na Mwenyezi Mungu huamini baadhi ya sehemu, bara zingine huamini kuwa sehemu kubwa ya Mungu mkubwa ni sehemu alikozalika kwa mama yake, kwa sababu akiwa na itikadi kuwa baada ya kuzalika akaweza kuishi katika dunia hii, hawezi kupita tena katika ile njia akaenda kuishi katika tumbo la mama yake.
Wakati mwanadamu anapoumbwa katika tumbo la mamake, basi malaika Jibril hutumwa na kuweza kumtajia jinsi maisha yake yatakavyokuwa, jinsi atapopata riziki, na pia jinsi maisha yake yatakavyokuwa, iwapo atapata furaha na amani ama iwapo atakuwa na mitihani kadhaa katika maisha yake.
مستقرب الناس حاسس بقيت غريب.
Unajua ile msemo inasemanga sipu is expensive. Ati nini? Sipu is expensive.
Sipu gani? Maanisha slippers is expensive.
Slippers. Na haribu. Hiyo sijui, sijai kutaka. Hiyo unaniekelea.
Hata mimi sijawahi kutaka. Yes. So tusitakane. Nini yako ilipiwa kwa hoteli?
Mimi hakuna kitu nimekuwa.
Kuna si ndio? Kielele ni nani unataka?
Bana kielele. Ndio kulia maso ine.
Ni mnasitu macho ine na hilo ndio kinyuka kuota. Ndio mtoto niite tu bila unataka. After all,
don't call my wife mtoto tena. Don't call my wife mtoto tena. Because
Muse.
ultimately this man yes.
Hata kama ni wewe uko na biashara yako vitu zinaibiwa hata iibiwe moja. Utakuwa usikii uchungu kwani uliokota.
Kwani mliungana na yeye ndio muingilie.
Wewe na wewe kaa kimya.
Ndani ya nyumba yako.
What is this?
A saga pump.
Sink and broker.
It's called a plunger.
Yes, it's a plunger, but what type?
Kamene, how are you going to discern between a fake gold and a real gold?
Farah, be careful on your way up. Kwa sababu wakati utateremuka utanipata hapa chini.
By the way guys, this coming Saturday from 10 a.m. Me Kenyajwi Mutumiti, I will be having a mega crusade in town.
Teacher's pet. Agi, what did you just say? Nothing. Keep provoking me, huh? Keep provoking me. You've been warned. Talang, talang, talalalang.
Welcome back. We do apologize. We seem to be experiencing some hitches, but now we are good. Let's continue. The conflict in Ukraine has left the international community in dire straits. Japan, a non-voting member of the United Nations Security Council, has weighed in and is asking Russia's leader Vladimir Putin to end the aggression.
The ongoing attack on Ukraine by Kremlin continues to attract condemnation from the global diplomatic community. Japan is the latest to express opposition to the war, questioning the decision by Russia, which has veto powers in the United Nations Security Council, to invade Ukraine.
Aggression against Ukraine is a unilateral attempt to change the status quo by force, and we can never accept this kind of action, and this is an outrageous act which shakes the very foundation of the international order.
Describing it as an outrageous act, the director for Central and Southeastern Europe Division at the Japanese Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Kondo Norifumi, says the armed conflict has caused disruption to the food and energy systems across the globe. He wants the community of nations to act immediately and find a resolution to the war in the Eastern European nation.
The big concern about Russian threat of use of nuclear weapons, and we are the only one victim countries of the use of atomic bomb in the wartime. So we can never accept that kind of a threat of use of nuclear weapons.
His counterpart in charge of United Nations Policy Division and Foreign Policy Bureau, Nonomura Kaitaro, says the multilateral system needs reforming and strengthening in order to be able to resolve matters before they end up in a war situation.
However, as you may be aware, the Security Council may not be necessarily the best avenue to solve the issue, because the Russian Federation has the veto power in the Security Council, and it is not realistic to imagine that the Security Council can make a decision to solve the problem.
With the G7 summit in Hiroshima coming up, Shimizu Yasuhiko, Senior Deputy Director for the Russian Division, says there is a need to rethink the strategies employed to deal with the current situation.
Russia's suggestion of the use of nuclear weapons is extremely concerning. The very fact that no nuclear weapons have been used for the past 77 years since the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki must not be disregarded.
As world leaders converge in Hiroshima, Japan, the rallying call by the world leaders is for Russia to end its siege on Ukraine. Judith Akolo for Channel 1 in Tokyo, Japan.
Well, thank you so much, Judith. Now moving on, Embu County Governor Cecilia Murire is cautioning against the politicization of development projects currently underway in Embu County in preparation for Madaraka Day celebrations. Speaking during the handover of sites for the Runyenjas and Kiritiri Matatu stage projects in Embu town, Murire assured traders who will be moved to first priority in allocation of stalls. According to Governor Murire, President William Ruto will lay the foundation stone for the 4-story market project, which he leads the nation in celebrating Madaraka Day on 1st June.
Wale wako kwa ile soko mzee ama ya zamani waweze kuja hapa na tuweze sasa kuanzisha soko mpya ile ambayo tunaenda ghorofa 4 kwenda juu, ambayo itaweza kusaidia wanabiashara wa Embu town na Embu County.
Plans to modernize roads in Mombasa City are underway in a bid to make them safer and user-friendly. County Chief Officer in charge of Transport and Infrastructure, Engineer Albert Kennel, says this is part of a bigger plan to reduce road accidents and restore sanity on the roads.
County Chief Officer in charge of Transport and Infrastructure in Mombasa County, Engineer Albert Keno, says school-going children are set to benefit more when road safety measures are implemented. Expected interventions including putting up speed limit road signs to allow children to cross safely.
We have selected a few sites where we have more than 3-4 schools in one area. We declare them school zones, and hence we reduce the speed at that point to 30 kilometers per hour to ensure that even if our children are knocked, then they should be able to survive the knock.
Keno disclosed that they have already trained 57 staff on road safety and traffic rule, who will then share the knowledge with road users. Sentiments echoed by the Chief Executive Committee member in charge of Transport and Infrastructure, Mombasa County, Daniel Manyala.
As a government, I've trained some 57 people as coaches to help cross children across Mombasa. And for purposes of people with disability, we are using what we call universal access.
We are going to increase the number of pedestrian crossing. Number 2, we are also going to make sure that school zones, we have more school zones just like the one that we have here. There are a lot of road signages that are out there, but these road signages, they come with protocols, for all road users to follow.
The announcement was made during an event to mark the UN Global Road Safety Street Activation held at Jaffery Academy in Mombasa County. For Lunchtime News from Mombasa County, I am Ann Mburu.
And now in the political arena, the Kanini Kega and Sabina Shege Jubilee Party faction says the party National Delegates Conference meeting scheduled for Monday is illegal. The faction further says Jeremiah Kioni, David Morathe and Kagwe Gishohi are no longer party officials.
The SNDC that had been convened by His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta for the 22nd May 2023. So in fact it means that there will be no special NDC on Monday. And 3, the party will advise our members on the date of the special National Delegates Convention after finalization of the dispute which is pending hearing and determination before IDRC.
Now let's talk business. The Kenya Bureau of Standards has assured that consumable goods in retail stores meet international quality standards and are safe for use. KEB's acting managing director Estangari says quality management systems in testing labs are internationally peer-reviewed and goods with the Diamond Trust mark have undergone expert valuation. They say the food value chains are accurate, highlighting the high fidelity in the food systems.
So we have always come in to ensure that we are on time to test whatever is in the market, whatever is going to our consumers, because at the end of the day we have to protect our consumers and what they consume every day. Yes, we have experienced quite a number of issues within the country, as has been mentioned, and we have always come in as the National Meteorology Institute and as the National Bureau of Standards, where we do conformity assessment, and because Kenyans are depending on Kenya Bureau of Standards to ensure that we give them what is safe and what they can depend on. So the most important thing is high integrity in all areas of our operations, professionalism in all areas of our operation.
We also recognize the effort that we have made as Kenya Bureau of Standards to ensure and safeguard the consumers against unscrupulous traders that may use incorrect equipment as they sell in the market. So for the assurance we have put as the Bureau is to have accredited laboratories to support the system in the economy, that the value of money you pay is consistent with the quality of goods that you purchase.
Kenya and India are set to collaborate to reduce dependence on external energy sources. The partnership will also mitigate the risk of energy disruptions and address environmental challenges through promotion of sustainable development in the energy sector. The joint effort was revealed during the 10th Power and Energy Kenya Expo 2023 held at the Kenyatta International Convention Center.
We'd like to see more opportunities and projects generated from their participation and fruitful collaborations between India and Kenya in the power and energy space. It is a space that holds tremendous potential, and as government we're happy to facilitate the opportunities and to see how both sides, the companies, can grow together to essentially meet the requirements of power and energy sector.
In 2008, Mercy Monene was diagnosed with anemia, and doctors advised her to increase her intake of vegetables to boost the red blood cells in her blood. This made her start growing organic vegetables and rearing rabbits in her small plot in Nairobi's Utawala estate. Friends and neighbors admired her urban farming model. This is how the business Shamba Connect was born, to train those interested in urban farming. Let's take a look.
Food prices and the prevalent use of dangerous pesticides on food, a lot of city dwellers are now turning to homegrown food. As you can see, it doesn't matter the space that you have. Today we are getting our hands dirty. You're welcome to join me. On the outskirts of Nairobi, Mercy, a 35-year-old businesswoman, runs a farm in the backyard of her acre home. She lives in a gated community in Utawala, an unlikely place for farming, but keeps up to 400 rabbits at a time and grows enough vegetables for her family and for sale all year round. She started her farm after a health scare experience.
I used to have issues with anemia, and also I could not be able to handle vegetables. So whenever I would take vegetables, they would give me a stomach upset that was supposed to have healed my anemia. So after a few years with that struggle of anemia and stomach upsets, I was advised, why don't I try natural vegetables, not the ones that have been that I buy from the market. The vegetables that are just bought from the market, many of them are laced with a lot of pesticides and chemicals, and there is so much research to that talks about how many we use a lot of chemicals in our vegetables that ends up affecting the amount of nutrients in the foods that we eat. And so when I tried my natural vegetables, I found it was very delicious, and it actually helped me to get back to my normal blood count.
Neighbors who were surprised by Masi's output despite her small piece of land asked for training, and the second phase of her business was born. Masi is now training and offering consultancy services on gardening, installing efficient systems, sale of gardening inputs from vegetable seedlings, plant media, fertilizers, and pest control products, both organic and inorganic.
For others, they're actually selling to their neighbors. So it's a really good adventure. For a space as small as 2 meters, you are able to create a garden that will hold more than 100 plants. You will be able to harvest 3 times a week, and you can be able to plant anything you want on that garden.
She uses rabbit urine as foliar fertilizer and pesticides, and intercrops her controls with red pepper and onions to control pests and diseases.
We have the rabbit manure and we have the rabbit urine that we use back in the farm. We use home kitchen solutions, such as we mix ginger and garlic and onions and we spray on the plants, and this helps to ward off pests. So we started the business because also it has a lot of benefits. If you look at rabbit meat, it's white meat, it has higher protein content, and many people are able to digest it. In fact, even for children, they prefer that children start with rabbit meat because rabbit meat is very soft and very easy to digest.
Urban farming is also changing the landscape and giving housing project residents another view of community life in the city.
Can be able to have that community gardening, and we have seen that in the places like different places in Nairobi, in different estates, and even the people who are looking for land and looking to buy houses, one of the things they consider most is there a place I can have my little kitchen garden?
The main benefits of urban farming is its adaptability. Urban farms can be set up in spare rooms, backyards, rooftops, balcony, or any spare space. Vertical indoor farms have the potential to yield 50 times more harvest than field crops and can start with as little as 2,000 Kenya shillings. The food security and stable food price you want to see in our nation can start with you.
And in other news, what happens when a gang abducts the wrong target when on a ransom mission? This is the question posed in the film Mistaken Identity, produced by KCA students. Here now is the review of the film on the episode of Cinemas and Theatre.
Kiblanda walai bilai mtakipata.
Mistaken Identity follows the character Gun, recruited to do debt collection for a criminal gang. On a mission, he is instructed to abduct a girl from school for ransom. Unfortunately, he grabs the wrong one.
The last time I saw Celine, she was walking towards the gate.
When at the compound of the gang leader, he refuses to give her up with a claim that she wasn't meant to suffer. This is informed by his childhood memories of his mother's death.
I have a certain way in how I write my scripts. But sasa nikaona, how about I try something new? Nikaangalia, what can I try? Nikaona crime, nikaona also action. And then these are many themes that are not really popular in Kenya. Nikasema, let me play around that. So nikasema, hiyo idea Mistaken Identity ilikuwa imekujanga tu nikiwatch movie ingine. I was like, it would be nice if I come up with a story, but now Kenyanize it and make sure it has what our people have.
Mistaken Identity is a film by students drawn from KCA University.
I do have a few actors that I have worked with in other projects. So half of the cast was typecasted, meaning hizo roles ziliandikiwa that person. They are really nice. They were obedient. Yeah, wali cooperate. Sasa we still have the self-esteem. Sasa, but the voice.
Directed by Fabi Grace, she notes despite the production challenges, it was an educative encounter working with her classmates on the project.
Location scouting was one of the hectics. We walked, we tarmacked this Nairobi tukitafutana na zile manyumba zenye tulikuwa tunaingia, apparently they were owned by big organizations, so you can just come in and start shooting. I remember by the third week of location scouting, watu walikuwa nasema, hey, we have to change the script because sasa kama tupati place ya kushoot hatuwezi endelea.
Rolling. Okay, Martin. Send that shot one, take one.
Driven by passion for filming, the whole production was a team effort with all funds from own contribution.
Tulichanga tu kama watu wa class peke yetu, and then after wamechanga, our producer Decima felt the need to, if she's the producer in the end, ataenda atafute pesa. So akaenda akatafuta pesa, and that's how we got the money to do pre-production and production. And also for the premiere and post-production, bado tulichanga. So it was just a team effort. Finding ways on how we as artists tunaweza pata revenue from our craft. I feel like that is an issue and you may quite bother the generations that were before us. Now, as far as film imekuja sahi, they can be able to get money for their craft na waweze ku earn a living.
Uliambiwa ulete Daisy na clearly usi Daisy. Oh my God.
Gunn decides to fight for the life of the abducted girl, no matter the cost. However, he is captured and brought to his boss to face the consequences. Will he succeed in his mission? Jacqueline Masharia for Cinemas and Theatre.
And now in the sports arena, Sevilla beat Juventus 2-1 in the second leg of the UEFA Europa League semi-final clash to reach the competition's final for a seventh time. The Spanish team will now face AS Roma in the finals in Budapest on the 31st of this month. Elsewhere, Newcastle United thrashed Brighton 4-1 to move closer to playing in the European Champions League football next season.
Sevilla stunned Juventus 2-1 in the second leg of the UEFA Europa League semi-final match, winning 3-2 on aggregate. Dusan Vlahovic opener was shortly cancelled out by Suso's equalizer. Oh, what a goal! Eric Lamela scored in added time to send Sevilla to a seventh final in the competition, where they will face Jose Mourinho's AS Roma in Budapest on the 31st of this month. Meanwhile, West Ham United reached their first major European final since 1976 after they overcame AZ Alkmaar 1-0 last night and 3-1 on aggregate. Pablo Fornals scored deep in injury time to give West Ham the win, where they will face Fiorentina in the final. Fiorentina beat Basel 3-1 last night and 4-3 on aggregate, thanks to a Nicolas Gonzalez brace and a last gasp extra time winner from Antonin Barach. Almost won it. The final will be played on the 7th of next month in the Eden Arena in Prague. Elsewhere, Newcastle defeated Brighton by 4-1 and increased their chances of finishing in the top 4 in the English Premier League. A Denise Undav own goal gave Newcastle the lead before Dan Burn made it to 2-0 just before the break. Undav scored for Brighton immediately after the restart to give the Seagulls hope, but Callum Wilson and Bruno Guimaraes both scored in the dying minutes of the game to secure a well-deserved win for the Magpies.
To the floor, plays it back!
Well, that brings us to the end of our bulletin this afternoon. Thank you for choosing Lunchtime News. For more news, check out our website at kbc.co.ke. More news in our comprehensive bulletin, later on at 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. My name is Jackie Wambiru. Our sign language interpreter is Lucy Maurer. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Just a few years ago, tracking shots like these were still a distant dream. Today, they're basically common practice, and not just in Hollywood. Highly specialized drones make it all possible. How are drones changing the film industry? That and more today on Shift. 4 propellers, a compact size, agility combined with a high-resolution camera. Drones have become part of our everyday life. They were originally developed for military research, including by British actor and engineer Reginald Denny. From 1935 onwards, he built remote-controlled aircraft, used by the US for air defense exercises. These days, though, there are many ways in which we use drones for more peaceful purposes. For tracking down missing persons or pets, for instance, or for impressive light shows in the night sky, or for those epic shots we keep seeing in movies. The next big trend has a lot to do with speed.
First-person view drones are revolutionizing filmmaking. Be it these full-throttle tracking shots alongside sports cars, or exciting new angles of the Berlin Palace, or delicate aerial maneuvers through a bowling alley. First-person view or FPV cameras allow the pilot to take on the drone's perspective.
It's a little bit like playing PlayStation or other game consoles. You control the drone and see exactly what the drone is seeing.
FPV drone pilots like Julian Spoda use video goggles which receive a live signal from the drone's camera. These lightweight drones have powerful motors and can reach speeds of more than 150 kilometers per hour. The way the drone can twist and turn sideways and upside down allows for a very unique cinematic style that you can't get with a normal drone.
The drones are controlled manually, and you can try more risky maneuvers. These perspectives are new, ones we haven't really seen before. To get them, cameras had to be developed that not only produced cinema-level quality images, but were also lightweight enough to be able to fly attached to FPV drones.
These new perspectives are now transforming cinema. The Netflix film Red Notice was the first Hollywood blockbuster to make full use of FPV drone footage.
Compared to a classic drone, an FPV drone gives videographers far more freedom. With an FPV drone, you can do nosedives. That's not possible with regular drones due to their sensors and control mechanisms, which assist the pilot in many ways, but don't allow for steep dives.
FPV drones can perform highly delicate maneuvers, allowing them to execute indoor shots too.
Originally, first-person view drones were developed for sports. They've been used in drone racing for many years. There's now an entire industry behind these races, with big sponsors and 5-figure prize money. On YouTube and other video platforms, FPV clips get hundreds of thousands of views. The top drone pilots like Alex Vanover from the US or Luisa Rizzo from Italy are now stars, outside the scene too.
Many successful pilots in the cinema world originally came from the racing world, because that's where they could train and develop their skills. Your mental state is a big part of it, because there's a certain stress and pressure to perform when you're racing. And that experience can be very helpful on a film set.
Ist an einem Filmset natürlich auch, sind Eigenschaften, die man da gut gebrauchen kann.
FPV drones are also increasingly used by hobby drone pilots. Most drone manufacturers offer models that will lend that FPV feeling to your vacation shots. At speeds of up to 140 kilometers